Hello everybody, my name is Caleb. For those of you who know me, and if you're wondering, I will be getting back to my PHP tutorials once I get some more batteries for my camera. But until then, let's go for JavaScript. Alright, so what is JavaScript? JavaScript is an object-oriented scripting language. It's not Java. So if you've worked with Java or have seen Java, JavaScript is not Java. Make that clear right now. Don't forget that. Here's a few things you should know before you start writing scripts. Alright, so it's a scripting language. Basically that means a program takes our code and runs it. JavaScript, for these tutorials, we will be running it through a web browser. So for example, Google Chrome. You can take your JavaScript scripts and run them through Google Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer. JavaScript is mainly used for a web development programming language. It contrasts with a compiled language which takes the code and creates an executable file, such as C. For a compiled language, all you have to do is click the icon, for example, and it will run the program. That you aren't going to need a program to take our code and run it. It just compiles itself. So object-oriented, if you don't know much about objects or object-oriented programming, that's okay. Just to say this for those of you who do know, this is a prototype-based rather than class-based. In a class-based language, you create classes and do not create objects. And create objects as instances of those classes. So basically, in JavaScript, we don't do this. Objects are created pretty much automatically and works a different way than normal object-oriented programming languages. So if you don't know what that means, just ignore it. We'll get into that later. So to start off, we have variables. A variable is used to store a temporary value. So that means it can change throughout the program. So if we look here, we have variable, color. So right here, this is the name of our variable. We can change the name if we want. So we could make this clouds or Caleb. Basically, we can name this whatever we wish. That is the name of our variable. And then we assign a value. This is the assignment operator, or an equal sign. We'll get into that in future videos. And we're going to assign it the value blue, the string blue, in single quotation marks. And then we end the entire line with a semicolon, And we may change this again later. So for example here, we changed color to equal green. And now has a different value. So everything in JavaScript is an object. So we have the variable color, this is the name, and we're assigning it the value purple. This variable is an object of type string. That means this is a string. And a string is just a sequence of characters enclosed within quotation marks. They can be single quotes or sometimes double quotes. There are many object types. String is just one of them. Objects. Well, each object consists of methods and properties. Methods and properties together are known as the members of the object. So everything within an object are object members. So we can look at this little picture here. Yes, I did draw that in Paint because I'm pro, but that's besides the point. So this entire object, everything within the object is known as the members. We have methods and we have properties, and we'll be getting into what each one of these are. So first, let's look at properties. If we create an object, we have a variable named food, and we assign it the value, the string beef. So it's an object of type string. Now a property, it's a value that is defined when an object is created. So we can access these properties. We can access a property using object notation. Basically that is where we use a little period and then we put the property name. You may also hear of this known as dot notation. So dot length or length, this is known as a property, and this specific property does something. This property will tell us how many characters are in the value of the variable food. So let's look. Food. This is our variable name, and it has a value, beef. The string beef. Well, each one of these is a character. Whoops. Yeah. So we have 4 characters. The value of food is beef. The string beef has 4 characters. Therefore, the property food.length gives us the value 4. That's what this property does. The property length figures out how many characters is within the string and returns that value. Methods, on the other hand, well, if you know about procedural programming languages, you may hear of functions, but for now we'll look at these as methods because we're in object-oriented programming. So if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. If you remember, methods are also members of the object. If we look here at this slide, there's methods and properties. We already looked at properties. Now we're going to look at methods. So methods take the value of the variable and do something with it. So once again, methods are very similar to functions in a procedural programming language, but that's not an object-oriented programming language, and we'll be not getting into that in this video. Alright, so to access a method, it's very similar. You put a period, and then the method name with 2 parentheses, opening and closing. So it's very similar to accessing a property. The only difference is it ends with this right here. So what's the difference? A property's value is defined and does not change unless the value of the variable changes. A method takes the value of a variable and does something with it. So basically, a property has a value, a method does something with the variable's value. Food.length is going to give us 4, where food to uppercase, which is a method, it's going to take the value beef and put all of the characters to uppercase, giving us back the value beef in all capital letters. So if we want to learn a bit more about methods, a typical method does not change the value of the variable. It just gives us a new value. So food to uppercase will give us the value beef. If we then look at the value of food, it will still be beef in lowercase. As you can see, there's a difference here. This is uppercase, this is lowercase. To uppercase is going to give us the value beef in all capital letters, but it's not going to change the original value of the variable. So for example, variable food is assigned beef. Variable food in all capital letters, we can assign food to uppercase. So this is going to take this value, uppercase it, and then assign it to the variable food with all capital letters. So obviously JavaScript is case sensitive. So we can also change the original value of a method, but it's a little more complex. So basically we assign a value to a variable, food, and then we can reassign the value food to uppercase. So this right here is going to give us beef in all capital letters, of course, and then that's going to assign it back to the original variable. So that's just the basics of JavaScript and some other stuff about object-oriented programming in JavaScript. So hopefully that was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you, and subscribe.